If you've spent more than 5 minutes scrolling through your feed lately, you've probably felt it. The creeping sense that everybody else has things figured out. Everybody else is making 100x returns on crypto. Everyone else is retiring at 25. Everyone else seems to have cracked the code. Even though we all know that's crap, we still feel like we're not keeping up. And at times like that, I think it's essential to step back and ask a fundamental question. Are we listening to wisdom, or are we just consuming information? Because there's a massive difference. And if you get them mixed up, it won't just cost you in wasted time or a sore thumb from endlessly scrolling. It could cost you your financial future. Hi, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Pete Matthew, and I'm a chartered financial planner based in the UK. And today I want to do something a little bit different. We're going to look at the rise of the financial influencer. Why being qualified on paper is not the same thing as being competent in real life. And I'm going to show you how even the smartest AI tools can hallucinate your wealth away. I've been a financial planner for 28 years. I've worked with hundreds of families, thousands of real people, and I've helped them navigate the personal finance system so that they can live great lives. That's what it's all about. And I can tell you, what works in a 60-second viral clip rarely survives contact with the real world. Let's get into it. All right, let's talk about qualifications. Now, don't get me wrong. I am a chartered financial planner. I believe in exams. I believe in technical knowledge. But recently, I'm seeing an alarming new trend. Influencers who pass a few basic exams, they get some letters after their name, and then they immediately brand themselves as qualified financial advisors on social media. Now, technically, they have some basic knowledge, but knowledge is like reading the highway code. Fair enough. But wisdom is driving a car well in rush hour traffic in the pouring rain. Also, to be a financial advisor in the UK, you have to be registered with the Financial Conduct Authority. You have to be signed off by a senior person to have competent advisor status, and that person takes responsibility for you being able to do the job. You have to maintain CPD, a lot of it, and you have to be fit and proper. That is, you have to have your own financial house in order. With just the exams, you might have a basic understanding of the system, and maybe you're reasonably good at some rudimentary maths. But personal finance isn't really about maths. The maths is easy. A spreadsheet can tell you that you need to save £1,000 a month to hit £1 million in 30 years. That's the qualified part. But an experienced advisor knows that in year 5, you might lose your job. In year 10, you might get divorced. In year 15, the market's going to drop 40%, and you will feel a physical sickness in your stomach that no textbook can prepare you for. A qualified influencer might tell you the optimal mathematical answer, might tell you that you need to just stay the course. An experienced advisor helps you find an answer that you can actually live with. And it's not just the humans we need to worry about, it's the tools that they're using. Get this, right? The other day I was preparing for this video and I asked ChatGPT to give me a rundown of the rules and some calculations for the sale of a rental property by a person who had some specific tax and income circumstances. Now, ChatGPT gave me a confident, articulate, beautifully written answer, and it was completely wrong. It had hallucinated a set of rules from 2 years ago and presented them as current fact. Now, when I challenged it on this, it basically said, "Oh yeah, my bad. Sorry, here's the correct response." Now, it's only because I knew the answers and I knew the rules that I knew to challenge the result. But if you had acted on that advice, you could have been hit with a tax bill in the tens of thousands of pounds. And this is the danger of half-baked education. We live in an era where we think access to information is the same as access to truth. It just isn't. Financial planning requires nuance and an understanding of human behavior. And AI doesn't know that your spouse is really worried about risk. It doesn't know that you want to retire early so that you can care for your elderly mother. It just knows the maths. And when it comes to the complexity of the human condition and the way we feel about our finances, it's just not about the maths at all. And this leads me, I think, to my biggest worry with the current state of financial media, the death of nuance. You see, the algorithms love extremes. Bitcoin is going to 0. That'll get a click. Bitcoin is going to 1 million. That'll get a click. Bitcoin is a highly volatile asset class that might have a very small place in a diversified portfolio depending on your unique risk tolerance. That doesn't get a click, that gets ignored. But real life happens here in the grey area in between the extremes. So when you see an influencer dealing in absolutes, telling you that you must buy this stock, or you must avoid property, or that cash is trash, it's a red flag. Real advice is boring. Real advice is full of, it depends. So you got people like Damien Talks Money, James Shack, Toby Newbat, George Agan, or myself. We might sound like broken records sometimes. We talk about index funds, tax wrappers. We talk about patience. It's just not sexy. It might not get 1 million views, but it works. Actually, Damien probably will get 1 million views. He's very, very good. Look, there's some really good guys and girls out there. They're not selling you a dream. They're showing you the work that needs to be done. That's a good sign. So where does this leave you? Well, I think it leaves you with a pretty heavy responsibility. I'm not saying don't watch YouTube. I'm not saying don't use AI. I'm saying you cannot outsource your understanding. Nobody, not me, not your financial advisor, and certainly not some idiot posing in front of somebody else's Lamborghini. Nobody cares more about your financial health than you do. You have to educate yourself, but you have to do it deeply. You can't half-ass this. Look, I believe that everyone can benefit from the experienced perspective that a competent, regulated financial planner can bring to your planning. Of course I would say that. I am one. But unlike many of my fellow advisors up and down the UK, I believe that if you have the wit, the time, and the energy, you can learn to do your own financial planning. Fortunately for me, most people lack the time and the energy, which is why I have a job. But if you are going to DIY your financial life, you need to become a pro. You need to read the books. You need to check the primary sources. Don't just read the captions on a 60-second video. You need to understand why you are buying something, why you are choosing one withdrawal option over another. Because when the shit hits the fan, and it will, when the market crashes, and it will, the influencer is not going to be there to hold your hand. The AI won't be there to talk you off the ledge. You're going to be alone with your decisions, past and future, and the only thing that's going to keep you in your seat is your own conviction. Look, I know this sounds heavy, but hopefully it's actually empowering. Because actually, once you cut through the noise and you understand the principles, for most people, financial planning is fairly simple. It's just not easy to stay the course. Now, if you want to build that conviction, you need a proper foundation. And if you're ready to stop scrolling and actually start learning, I've built Meaningful Academy for exactly this reason. It's not a 60-second clip. It's a deep dive, curated and structured education that takes you from I have no idea to I have a plan. We have thousands of members, many of whom have been with us for 5 years since we launched. It's a community of people sharing real experiences and holding each other accountable. It's an antidote to the lonely, noisy world of social media finance. I put a link to the academy below. There's a free financial foundations course if you just want to dip your toe in, or if you want the full build wealth or retirement planning courses, they're there too. And if you sign up, use the coupon code YouTube for a discount. But honestly, you don't have to pay for a course. There are over 1,000 videos and podcast episodes available for free, and you can search them all using the Learning Center on my website. I'll put a link down below. But whether you join us or not, please be careful who you listen to. Check their credentials, but more importantly, check their wisdom. Look for the nuance. Look for the gray areas. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to get help if you decide that you need it. I'm going to give you a specific checklist on how to spot a good financial advisor, the green flags that tell you that someone is actually on your side. But until then, keep your head screwed on, ignore the hype, and look out for yourself. See you next time.